When I got into family history, I had a convert that we worked with. His name was Miguel, and he was probably like, oh, I'm going to overestimate and say like 45, 50. He was an older guy, but he was so full of energy. Like, you would not guess that he was just, like, he had more energy than the missionaries. And he was just an amazing convert. Just really strong, and he really involved in the missionary work. And so how I met him, he actually had worked with one of my companions, had served in his area before, so he knew one of my companions, and that's how I ended up meeting him. And so my companion told him about me because I was going to do family history in his state. And so he came to our family history center one day, and we started helping him with his family history because he was just, so excited to do his family history. He was the only member in his family, but he's super into missionary work, and he was always going out with the missionaries and always going, like, we would go to the center of Lima for like P days, and he would go with us, and he would go on the tours with us, and he's just so full of energy, and he would like contact people for us, and he was amazing. And so he came in to do his family history, and he really wanted to do family history on his mom's side, but he had like a huge problem because his grandma had his mom, but she like didn't know anything about the guy, like nothing at all, like not even a name. And so like we had like zero to go on as far as finding that branch of his family tree. And so he was a little disappointed about that, but we actually ended up finding like a lot of records in the family history and family search for his dad's side. And so we just found all these names. We ended up finding like 100 names for him, like a ton of names. And he was super about going to the temple, so he would go to the temple with us all the time. And whenever we would take like converts, and he would just pass out his cards, like all of his family cards to just all the converts that were there, and just like, do some names for me. And so he just ended up doing all this family history work. And he was just a huge inspiration to all the other converts that we worked with, and he was really amazing to get to know. And it was actually really funny because he was a clown for like his job, and like clowns are really big in Peru. Like if you're having a baby shower, if you're having a birthday party, if you're having a wedding, like whatever party you're having, like you have a clown. Like, so there's a lot of people that are clowns, and so it's just really funny. And so he would just like he was just really charismatic and just really amazing. And he actually, right before I left, our ward had a talent show, and so he like dressed us up as clowns, like me and my companion, and then two of the elders that were serving there, and we like did this little skit as clowns, and we like had all this paint on our face, and it was really funny. And then like everybody wanted to take pictures of us because we were dressed as clowns. But he was just really amazing and really strong, and he has just an amazing story of how he came to know the gospel, because the missionaries were teaching him, and he just like literally wanted nothing to do with it, like was just entertaining them. Like he really just didn't want anything to do with the gospel, and was like super contentious with them. And he actually ended up having this dream where he's in like on the street that he didn't recognize, with these trees he didn't recognize, and he like grabbed one of the leaves, and he like walked into this big building that he didn't recognize, and he saw his mom there, and his mom had already passed away. And so he saw his mom like dressed in white, and all of these other family members of his that had passed away. And then his like brothers and sisters were there, and they were like being all like rowdy, and he like had some family issues, so he was like, I don't want to be around. He told his mom, like, I don't want to be around them, like they shouldn't be here, they're being rambunctious or whatever. And his mom's just like, what's that book you have in your hand? And like this was all in his dream. And so he like looked in his hand, he had this like blue book, and he's like, oh, I don't know. She's like, oh, you should read that book. And he's like, yeah, whatever. And so he like left because he didn't want to be there with his siblings. And then he like got lost, and he came back, and he's like looking for his mom. And his mom, I think he said his mom like said something to him like, you should read that book or something. And he was kind of really impressed with this dream. And when he saw a picture of the Salt Lake Temple, he told the missionaries, like, that was the building that I saw in my dream. Like, those are the trees I saw in my dream. And, when he saw the Book of Mormon for the first time, like, he's like, that was the book I saw in my dream. And he just had this really amazing dream. And it was just really, really fun to hear his story. And it was really cool because we got to do some of his family history for him. And he actually let me do a lot of his, of the girl names in his family. And when I was leaving from my mission, I asked him, like, okay, I'm going to go to the temple pretty frequently, because even there, it's hard for them to find time to go to the temple. And I was like, if you want me to do, like, the endowments and the initiatories for your family name, I was like, I would be willing to do that. And so he sent me with all these names. When I came home, I would take them to the temple, and, like, the old ladies would try to pronounce these, like, super hard names, because, like, the last names were, like, Ginchaustigi, and they were like, what was that again? Yeah, and so I really got to take that experience home with me, and he was just amazing. So that's Miguel, and he's awesome. He's one of the best converts I met. And I could probably talk about him all day because he's just amazing. But